Hey everybody, it's low carb and keto nutrition specialist Amy Berger from 2itnutrition.com bringing you another video and doing keto without the crazy. Before we get into today's topic, let's get through some administrative business here. First of all, thank you. Thanks for watching my videos, and thank you especially if you are a subscriber. My channel is now up to about 17,600 subscribers. Wow. And that's really awesome because the whole reason I started doing videos is because I knew I could reach a much larger audience than I could get with my blog. And my blog is very near and dear to my heart. It is at 2itnutrition.com. I honestly consider myself a writer first and a nutritionist second. Now, I do write about nutrition and keto and low carb and health and all that. But, my craft, I think, is writing. And as a secondary thing, I'm a nutritionist. So anyway, I have neglected the blog for a very long time, even though writing is my first love. I do a lot of writing, but I write for that's my freelance job. I mean, that's what pays my bills. So I don't have as much time for my own blogging as I'd like, but I'm starting to make more time because I really do enjoy writing those posts. And the reason I'm saying this is because I finally posted a new post to my blog for the first time in ages. So visit 2itnutrition.com. September 8th, 2020 is my latest post, and it might be worth a read because it presents 14 ways to tell if keto is working for you besides weight loss. So let's say you started a ketogenic diet for some reason totally unrelated to weight, right? Not everybody starts keto or low carb because of weight issues. So, or if you have started keto or low carb for weight issues, but maybe you're stuck in a stall or a plateau and you're getting frustrated, here are 14 other ways to tell whether this diet is doing anything good for you besides your weight. Second order of business. If you are stuck in a weight loss stall or plateau, do check out my book, The Stall Slayer. There'll be a link below. It's at stallslayer.com, or you can just get it right on Amazon, and it will help you break a fat loss stall on keto. Let's see. Anything else before we get into matters? Because I'm already like 2.5 minutes in. No, I have notes, but it's like half a sentence worth of notes here. So this may be disjointed, hopefully not. And as again, my disclaimer, I'm not a physician. None of my videos are intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any illness. This is just my thoughts as a nutrition professional. So today's topic, can you ever eat carbs again? You're doing keto. Do you have to do keto forever? Are you going to die if you eat carbs? What's the deal with transitioning out of keto? Should you? Can you? How do you do it? Quite a big topic, huh? So let's see where I start. Stay with me here because I'm going to say some things here and there that might surprise you or might scare you, but just keep watching because it's all going to be explained eventually. So I think we can all agree, based on our own lives, based on people not everybody needs a low carb or ketogenic diet to be healthy and or fit, right? We all probably know people, perhaps many people, who don't have any type of carbohydrate restriction in their life, not even like a little bit of a low carb diet, let alone strict keto. And they're healthy, they're fit, they're happy, they're well, it's all good. And then, so obviously, not everyone needs a ketogenic diet to be healthy. On the flip side, there are many, many people who are very, very ill, who are very, very overweight, morbidly obese perhaps, who could do really, really well with keto, who a ketogenic diet or even some modicum of a low carb diet would dramatically improve their health, would help them lose massive amounts of weight. So it's really all about context. What is your situation? What are you trying to accomplish? What's your history? What's your genetic tendency? What's your propensity? What are you willing to do? What kind of diet are you willing to follow, even for some amount of time? All of this will factor in to the diet that is right for you now and that may be right for you 6 months from now, 6 years from now, sometime into the future. So it's pretty interesting. I clearly, most of my career is helping people with some version of carbohydrate restriction, be it just a low carb diet, be it kind of like a medically therapeutic keto, although I hesitate to use the word medically because I'm not a doctor, but, some type of therapeutic diet, I guess I'll say, a therapeutic nutrition strategy. So something very, very strict versus, I just want to eat well, I just want to eat better and not eat so much garbage. And that being said, I've also had more than a little handful of clients who I advise to eat more carbs. And I'm very clear with these people when we talk about more carbs. I'm never sort of talking about, sorry, let's fix the hair. I'm never talking about like 200 or 300 grams of carbs a day, but I'm talking about 80 grams, 100, 120 grams, which to me, there's only one or two scientific papers that I know of that really try to define ketogenic versus very low carb versus low carb versus no man's land, wild west of nutrition. In my opinion, my personal thinking, anything under 100 grams of carbs a day is low carb. It's not necessarily ketogenic, right? For some people, 50 grams or fewer per day will be keto. For some people, they have to keep it under 30 or 20 grams per day to be in ketosis. But it's really, there's no absolute cutoff. It's all a gradient depending on how your body responds. My point is, let's say you're eating 100 grams of carbs a day. I hate the C word, not carb, but calorie, but let's just go with it for a minute here. Carbohydrate has 4 calories per gram. So if you're eating 100 grams of carbohydrate a day and it's 4 calories per gram, that's 400 calories, which out of, let's not even say a 2,000 calorie a day diet, let's say 1,600. That's only 1/4 of your calories for the day. So that's, again, to me, that's a low carb diet. Is it keto? No. Is it lower carb? Yeah. Is it low carb compared to what most people are eating? You bet. Okay, so that being said, like I'm just saying, I've had clients that I advise to eat more carbohydrate based on their circumstances. I'll link to a blog post I did that was like I'm kind of famous for very long blog posts. People either love it or hate it. You're either my fan or you're not. What can I say? So I did this rant about healthy, young, fit, lean people being scared into following a diet intended for children with epilepsy. Meaning that the ketogenic diet was originally invented as an epilepsy diet, and it was very, very high in fat, very, very low in carbs, and also protein restricted. That's where the fear of the protein comes from. So it's like a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 ratio of fat to carbs and protein combined. You don't have to worry about the math. The point is it's very, very high in fat and low in both carbs and protein. And here you've got bodybuilders, CrossFitters, athletes, young, healthy, fit, active people trying to shoehorn themselves into this diet that is literally a medical therapy meant for a very, very different situation. And we kind of have the same thing now with just people that are eating as if they are living with morbid obesity and raging type 2 diabetes when they're actually perfectly healthy. And here's why I keep saying stay with me, because it might be confusing, but everything's going to be cleared as I keep talking. Everybody can follow a very strict low carb or ketogenic diet, and everybody can follow it for their entire life if they want to. But not everybody needs to, and it might not even be best for everybody depending on the situation. And that's not to say it's going to be harmful for you. It won't hurt you, but there might be something that's actually even better, that might support your athletic performance better than very strict keto, that might be better for your mental and emotional health rather than strict keto. And again, to emphasize, I'm not talking about 200 grams of carbs a day from Pop-Tarts and Mountain Dew and granola and shit, right? I'm talking, not that the granola is always shit, you know what I mean? I'm talking about, a sweet potato, a serving of black beans at dinner, a pear, a wedge of melon. And so we in the ketogenic community have definitely demonized carbs far too much. And many of you who watch are probably familiar with Dr. Ted Naiman. If you're not, he's an MD out of the Seattle area. He is one of my favorite people in the nutrition space. And I won't even say the low carb keto space, because I don't even know that he wants to be associated with the crazy anymore, keto without the crazy. But he is a big proponent of a higher proportion of your calories from protein and less from both carbs and fat. Because he, as a doctor, has seen a lot of his patients trying to do very strict keto, trying to go very high fat, and they're either not losing weight, assuming they're overweight and they're trying to lose weight, or their diabetes is not improving, their blood sugar is still high, the insulin is still high, what have you. And some of that might be because these people are just overdoing the fat. And we're partly overdoing fat because we've been made out to be afraid of protein. Oh, protein turns into sugar. Protein kicks you out of ketosis. Total mythical nonsense. I will check out the links. I like to put links in the notes for my videos. They're there for a reason. They're there for your further education if you're interested. I did, again, super long encyclopedic length blog post on the issue of gluconeogenesis and protein and glucose and all that. And also, we've been made too afraid of carbs. And so people have been adopting Dr. Naiman's approach, and it's not that radically different from keto. It's a little bit of a shift. It's not like a world apart from it, but these are people that were doing keto and, had good results at first. Things were going well, and then it kind of stopped, and they either had more weight to lose, or they just started losing, maybe their energy was kind of waning, their athletic performance was starting to decline. And it's like, what gives? I'm still following my same diet that I did really well on, and I got such great results. And when they switch to Dr. Naiman's approach, things start to get better. And there's a saying in English, maybe you have a similar saying if you're from overseas and your native language is something different, but it goes something like, what got you here won't get you there. Meaning, you started, remember, context, context, context. You started at a certain point, and so you did strict keto or Atkins or page 4 or whatever, and it got you here. And you did really great. Boy, did that diet change your life. But you're still doing that same diet that got you here, but it doesn't seem to be taking you to the next level. And I hate that phrase, I'll say the next step. It doesn't seem to be taking you to the next step you're trying to get to, whether it's losing the last 10 or 12 pounds versus you already lost the first 100, whether it's you're just a little down, you're a little brain foggy, you're a little, like I say, you're losing strength and power, or you're not increasing in strength and power, even though you're training just as hard as you always were. So it's because what got you here isn't going to get you there. You need something different. Let's say you started out, you were 200 pounds overweight, you had type 2 diabetes, you had hypertension, you had dyslipidemia, you had gout, you had migraines. You did strict keto. Now, you lost the 200 pounds. Your diabetes is reversed. Your blood sugar is great. The gout is gone. Your blood pressure is normal. The migraines are gone. Everything is great. Now what? Now what? Do you have to stay strict keto for the rest of your life? Or could you maybe introduce some carbs? So let me get to the one note that I made before I forget. And again, I have to emphasize that, stay with me, because I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea here. A ketogenic diet, a strict ketogenic diet, is a corrective diet. Think of it like a medicine. You are sick, for lack of a better, you're sick, you take the medicine and you get better. Once you get better, you don't keep taking a medicine, right? If you have a cold, you take your whatever, your antihistamine, your drugs, whatever. Once the cold is gone, you don't keep taking the medicine because you're better. You don't need the medicine anymore. Think of it like, let's say you break your leg, and so now you have to wear a cast. The cast is to help keep your leg, immobilized so it can heal and rest, Once the leg is healed, you take the cast off and you go about your life. You don't keep the cast on for the rest of your life. Your leg is healed. Why are you still wearing the cast? Your health is in a completely different state now. Your weight is in a completely different state. Why are you going to still follow the corrective diet? Now, the problem is already corrected. You don't need to keep correcting it. But before anyone gets confused, let's parse this out a little bit. Okay, yes, the problem is corrected. You've lost the weight. All your health problems are gone. Everything's great. You can, like I said, you can keep following keto. You can. But you are literally not the same person you were a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, however long it took you to get to this place using strict keto. Now you're here. You are not metabolically, physiologically, maybe even mentally and emotionally, you are not the same person. So the diet that was the most effective for you 200 pounds ago, and type 2 diabetes ago, and gout ago, migraines ago, might not be the best, most effective, most productive diet for you now. And so there is a way to reintroduce carbs very slowly and systematically so you can over time identify your own sweet spot as to what types of carbohydrates can you have and in what quantities while maintaining the weight loss, right? Without regaining the weight, without triggering a recurrence of the health problems that you are glad to be rid of. And I'm not really going to talk right now about how to do that, but I'll just leave it at that's something that you can do. We really truly have gone too far in demonizing carbohydrate across the board. When I get clients that are quite literally terrified to eat a raw carrot as a snack, but they think it's fine to eat, half a jar of macadamia butter, we've got a problem. And none of this is prescriptive, right? If you have a medical condition that requires a strict ketogenic diet, by all means, do the strict ketogenic diet. But if that's not your situation, you probably don't need to be quite so strict. And this is especially true if you have gone out of your way and made a deliberate effort to add more muscle mass. The more active you are, particularly with just building lean muscle, the more wiggle room for carbs you have, the more carbohydrate you can tolerate. And let me pause here to see what else I can say. Yeah, I guess just watching, people like to post pictures of their food on Twitter a lot. I'm not very active on I loathe Facebook and I don't do Reddit at all. I have an Instagram account. If you want to follow me on Instagram, my handle is 2 at Nutrition. I don't post much, mostly because I don't understand how to use Instagram. I'm going to sit down with somebody who's going to show me how to take full advantage of all the features because I don't know how. So I do post now and then. Feel free to follow because I'll be posting more as I learn more. But I like to look at people's food pictures that are following Dr. Naiman's approach and who are just not doing a strict carnivore diet, not doing strict keto, because the plates have plenty of vegetables. Now, the plates have plenty of fatty protein. You're looking at steaks, you're looking at eggs, you're looking at pork chops, you're looking at bacon, and so it's all good, but there's also a lot of vegetables, be they green vegetables, be they red, yellow, orange, the whole 9 yards. And some people are doing potatoes, rice, beans, things that are a little bit butternut squash, beets, things are a little bit sweeter and starchier. And it's just nice to see. It's nice to have that counterbalance to the strict carnivore and the super strict keto thing. And I have nothing at all against the carnivore diet or the super strict keto. What I support most is people doing whatever works best for them. If that's carnivore, do carnivore. If it's keto, do keto. If it's just low carb, if it's paleo, whatever it is, as long as you're happy doing it, keep doing it. But it's just, I feel like if you kind of are new and you don't really know better, all you're seeing are these plates of burger patties and bacon, and you think that that's what you're supposed to eat, or you think you're like not allowed to have the pickle slice on the burger or the tomato on the burger. So it's just nice to see these plates with a generous, portion of vegetables and fruit and starches or whatever. But let's see, why was I saying that? That it's nice to see the vegetables, la la la. I don't know. I guess I will also, shameless plug here. Part of this is by way of introducing a new book that I have coming out. The release date is set for like mid-December 2020. I think that's subject to change, but the book is available for pre-order now on Amazon. I'll leave a link below. The book is called End Your Carb Confusion, and it is co-written with none other than Dr. Eric Westman, the man who kind of started it all with regard to the research on this way of eating. Not all together. He's not the first person to study it. Stephen Phinney has been researching this since I was like 3 years old, like in the mid 80s. But Dr. Phinney started it with regard to cyclists and endurance athletes. Dr. Westman's interest was always with obesity, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome. So anyway, if you're going to write a book with somebody about carbs and metabolic syndrome and health in general, who would you want but Eric Westman? And Dr. Westman and I think, are very much of like mind with regard to the keep it simple, keep things uncomplicated. A lot of his patients are very not well off financially. They don't have a high level of education. They're low socioeconomic status. He cannot tell these people to go to Whole Foods or to go, buy all your food at the farmer's market or get it all from the hoity-toity co-op. These people are going to go to the discount store. They're going to go to whatever's cheap. And the good news is you can massively, radically improve your health eating very, very inexpensive, simple food as long as you stay within your own carbohydrate tolerance. And so our book, End Your Carb Confusion, is mostly a keto book. And I'll have videos in the future as we get closer to the release date, really specifically designed to talk about the book. But the reason I'm bringing this up in this video, can I ever eat a carb again? I've been doing keto forever, but God, it would be really nice to eat a peach in the middle of July from the farmer's market. It would be really nice to have the sweet potato pie at Thanksgiving. It would be really nice to have, I don't know what, to go apple picking in the fall in New England with my family. Whatever your thing is that it would be nice to do. Can you do it? Depends on your situation. So our book has a checklist, and you check things off, and depending on your answers to those checklists, it points you to a carbohydrate level to start with. And no surprise, most people are going to end up starting with very strict keto. But the difference with our book is that it doesn't necessarily keep you there. It talks about when and how to start increasing if you want to. Some people don't want to. Some people are happy living within Atkins induction or page 4 or crazy strict keto for their whole life. God bless ya. Do what you want to do and what works. If you want to go apple picking in the fall with your family, if you live in Oregon, and if you do, I sincerely hope you are safe out there. If you live in Oregon and you want to have some Marion berries that you guys are world famous for, well, that has never happened before. I had to pause. Did you hear the knock on my door? Somebody knocked at my door, and I was like, uh-oh, I hope I'm not in trouble. I hope it's not my, management company coming to kick me out or something. You know what it was? Flower delivery! I have not looked at the card yet. I suspect I know who they're from, but we'll set this aside for now. But look how beautiful. Oh, shit. Oh, I just spilled water on my couch. Oh, well, at least it's just water and not anything else crazy, right? But oh my gosh, there's lilies, and there's pink roses, and there's stuff that I don't know the name of. There's this stuff that feels like velvet. Oh my gosh. And these things that look like mushrooms, I don't know what they are. Anyway, back to the thing. So, our book walks you through how to systematically reintroduce the carbs. And it's unique, but it's kind of not unique. I don't want to forget that the Atkins book, Dr. Atkins' Diet Revolution and Dr. Atkins' New Diet Revolution, the book that got me started in my low carb life, does this too. It's just everybody forgets. That's why I don't always say Atkins diet. I say Atkins induction, because that was the strictest phase. Dr. Atkins had this same thing. He said, okay, do induction for 2 weeks, then each week gradually increase. Here's how to do it. And he called that the ongoing weight loss phase. And that was how I'm going to increase. I'm still losing weight, still feeling good. I'm going to increase. I'm still losing weight, still feeling good. Eventually, you would hit the point where the weight loss stopped. And like, oh, okay, that's my top threshold. Can't have any more than that. And the thing is, though, Dr. Atkins, and I've heard this from people that, had the honor of knowing him and working with him, that was in his books. In his actual clinic, where he treated tens of thousands of patients over about 3 decades, so we're not talking small numbers here, in his clinic, he did have to keep a lot of people at induction for the long term. Maybe not forever, but for a lot longer than that 2-week period that's encouraged in the book. Anyway, let me think if there's anything else critical I'm forgetting. I'll just repeat. I know I repeat myself a lot in videos, but it's just because people hear what they want to hear. So sometimes you have to say the thing over and over. You don't have to eat more carbs if you don't want to. But if you do want to, none of us became morbidly obese and type 2 diabetic and triggered all kinds of metabolic problems because we had a serving of black beans at our favorite Mexican restaurant once a week or twice a month. None of us became morbidly obese or developed type 2 diabetes because we had an occasional wedge of cantaloupe as an appetizer or as a dessert. What it was the constant, ceaseless influx of food all day long, massive quantities of food, sugar and starch all day long, every day. Every year at Halloween, people just go nuts in the keto world. Oh, they're the kids, my candy, they're giving my kids, they're poisoning my kid, and we take all the candy away and we give them money instead, or the switch. If ever there was a time to let your kid have some candy, it's Halloween. The problem is that in this country, children and adults eat like it's Halloween 365 days a year. We eat like it's Thanksgiving 365 days a year. The problem is not the sweet potato pie and the mashed potatoes and the cranberry sauce and the rolls and the beer at Thanksgiving. The problem is that we eat that stuff every day. Every day is a feast day. These holidays used to be special because it was the rare time that you feasted. It was the rare time that you got to stuff yourself on the bounty. We stuff ourselves with the bounty every day now. I mean, not all of us. I mean, there's those of us that are fortunate to have a bounty every day. Hunger is still a huge problem in this country, but so you see what I'm saying. And the real kicker, though, is when you're in the process of reversing your disease or losing a very, very substantial amount of weight, you require a different approach than you require once all that stuff is corrected. Now, you have to be careful. It is a slippery slope. You don't want to go back to where you were. So, but while that leg is healing, you wear the cast. Once the leg is healed, you take the cast off. But you have to be careful not to break the leg again, right? So I guess that's all I'm going to say for now. We're coming up on a half hour. I'll probably have more videos about this specific topic and then about some other topics as we get closer to the book release. But I guess I don't even like to define my own diet as ketogenic. I happen to be in ketosis a lot of the time. And I check with urine when I want to check. I rarely check blood and I never check breath. Not that I'm opposed to that. I know the man that invented has promulgated the most recent breath meter. So I'm not opposed to those, but so my point is I'm in ketosis most of the time, but I don't go out of my way to get there. I don't deliberately restrict certain things, you know. Every now and then I have the hummus. Every now and then I have the piece of warm fresh bread. But the emphasis is on every now and then. It's not every day, it's not 4 times a day. Um, so I would define my own diet as very low carb, bordering on keto most of the time, with occasional excursions that are neither low carb nor keto. Or I should say that neither keto nor low carb. And I guess that's it. Don't don't make, carbs are not bad for you. Certain kinds of carbs in excess are not the greatest idea, depending on your personal health and metabolic situation. But don't let anybody criticize you or scare you or insult you. If heaven forbid you post a picture on social media of your dinner plate and it has, I don't even know what on it, roasted beets or some parsnips, God forbid, some roasted carrots. Don't let the keto police, don't let the keto zealots come out of the woodwork and attack you, because that's just not productive. And that's enough out of me. Check out the Stall Slayer, stallslayer.com. End your carb confusion. Pre-order, pre-order. We really want to get the pre-order numbers up, because the more people that pre-order, the better our chances of hitting a bestseller list. And if we hit a bestseller list, the more the word gets out about this way of eating. And this book, it's mostly a keto book, but it also has those other higher levels of carb intake tailored toward people that don't eat keto. And I think that this book is a great thing to give to people who are never going to do keto. They're never going to be strict keto. They don't want to, even if they're living with a health condition that would completely go away if they did keto, right? Or just they'd get so much better in so many ways if they just did it, but they're just never going to. This book might help them get close. Because there are some people who have those issues that even if they just restrict carbs to some degree, they just cut way back, they'll get much better. They'll lose half the weight they want to lose, maybe, or they'll feel better. They won't get all the way to where they might go with strict keto, but they'll get pretty far. And for some people, that's enough. Not everybody wants six-pack abs. Not everyone is willing to make the sacrifices they would have to make to get to a certain state of health or physique or fitness. Some people are like, I'm good enough where I am. I'm not perfect. I know I could do more. I don't want to. And this book might help them get to the point where they want to get without making themselves so nuts over the crazy going those last few couple of centimeters and inches. That's it. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks again for subscribing. If you're not subscribed, click the button and subscribe, because why not? It's free. So I will see you next time. And do check out my blog too at nutrition.com. It's my website. And I really think that new blog post is going to be good for some of you. And I mean, if nothing else, if you're new to this way of eating, it's going to tell you 14 things that keto is really good for, totally unrelated to losing weight. And I have my next post is already written, coming up soon, and that's also going to be, well, that's going to be related to weight. It's going to be why you cannot go solely by the scale. So I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.